Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Today we have a pretty cool flight ahead of us. In front of us we have the Builds Airbus A350-900, finished in the fantastic LA-28 Delta Airlines livery. And we are going to be headed to Oshkosh. So not too long ago, the EAA AirVenture Oshkosh Air Show took place, and Delta took their A350, in fact, this exact plane, over to Oshkosh to be on display. So I figured, why not try to have a little fun and do the flight myself? So we are stationed here at Atlanta, and we will be flying about 2 hours, give or take, to Oshkosh. So this flight, we're not really going to be following any real rules or anything like that. We're just out here to have fun. We're going to do a toga departure, even though we really don't need it. We're going to fly. We're going to fly by the runway over at Oshkosh, do a low-level pass, maybe a wing rock, and then we'll enter a base and actually land. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and enter the flight deck. So here we are on board the A350. So I did some preparations beforehand. I went ahead and configured our fuel, our payload, and put in our flight plan to make sure we are going the correct area. So we'll just take a quick brief at everything. So we are going to be taking off 26 right, which is the closest runway. We're going to be doing the penciled to departure via letter, and then couple waypoints on the way down. There is no arrival procedure into Oshkosh as of using this video, because we can't really replicate the actual Oshkosh EAA procedures in the simulator. So we're just going to have to make do with what we have, but however we are going to try to have some fun with this aircraft. Weather, it's a little hazy over here in Atlanta, we can see. Just take a quick peek at the weather real quick. About 7 miles, visibility, a few clouds, altimeter is 2985, which we will set here momentarily, but it is pretty hazy today. And then over in Oshkosh, by the time we get there, we should have a very, very lovely sunset. If not, it should be pretty much near dusk time. It's going to make for a good time. All winds over there, 3001, and clear skies, so that's going to be great. Hopefully it stays like that when we get over there. Alright, so now that we are pretty much ready to rock and roll, we're going to go ahead and disengage that ramp truck. We're only carrying a few passengers, basically what would be like some mechanics, flight attendants, just personnel of Delta Airlines, and then we will go ahead. Once that ramp truck is clear, we will initiate pushback. Cruising altitude today will be flight level 340. Looks like our fuel pumps are already set and ready to rock and roll. EPU is on. Everything is configured. Let's check, make sure that ramp truck goes away. And we are over in the back over here because the default Atlanta does not have the extra parking for the stairs for their wide bodies, which, if I remember right, it is supposed to be right here, and they face them on an angle. You have a few of them kind of hanging out right here. All of the Delta terminals and whatnot are across that way, but we will be using runway 26 right, which is this guy. I chose the closest one. Like I said, we aren't really paying attention to some of that stuff. So, without further ado, we're good to go. Disengage our parking brake, and let's get that pushback started. While we do so, let's get our beacon. We'll turn our landing lights and taxi lights on, just because, like I said, we're going to have a little bit of fun here. to the right here so we can get lined up. Looks like a 717 coming in on landing, so we will have to be aware because they are using the 2.6s for arrivals as of right now, but we can actually see that being played out right here. So they got 3 runways for arrivals, 2 for departures. It's going to be interesting. Pushback complete, park brake on, let's commence engine start. Everything goes green. And 3 and 2 spinning. Oil is coming up. And 1's coming up. We'll have fuel flow here. Oil pressure's rising. Available there. Engine number 1. Back. Engine 1 is avail, so ignition mode to normal. Now we're going to do a very quick flight control check. Let me just find it over here in our settings. Here we go. Like so. Add our flaps, set our speed brakes to arm. Disengage parking brake, let's get moving. Now we don't really need to do a toga departure, but the whole point of this is to have a little bit of fun. So that's what we're gonna do. Signs, we'll just turn them all the way on. Another 717 coming in on arrival. we gotta do before we set off is just configure the weights real quick. No big deal. So let's go ahead and knock that out before we head on out. Looks like it did just that. I just gotta confirm our passenger numbers, which is 51. Stuff back up here. So it does want us to do a flex departure here. You can see that here, but we're not going to. We're gonna go toga. We're gonna do an unrestricted climb. We're gonna see just what this thing can do. I'm going to go ahead and take the runway, and then as soon as that aircraft that just landed turns to the right, we're going. See just how close they are running these aircraft together at this airport. So we'll sit here and wait a second. Realistically, he is out of our way. I don't think there will be anybody really behind us. I don't see anybody. But he is out of the way. Let's get moving. That's 80 knots real quick. Let's rotate. Positive rate gears going up. We're going to go 20 degrees nose up. Because why not? Look at that, we flew up there real fast. But we're gonna hold it. (6,000 feet per minute). That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. That was a steep departure. We got up to 5,500 real quick. hands off the controls, just kind of letting the aircraft do its thing. This thing can fly very, very well. Gain just a little bit more speed while we turn to the right here. This should get us set up for our departure. Pretty much straight shot to Oshkosh here. Great aircraft to fly. So we're actually in a D-rated climb setting right now. This aircraft will automatically derate your climb depending on your weight. So we are actually in a D-rated climb. We're not using as much thrust, which basically saves fuel, even though this aircraft has more than enough on board to make it to Oshkosh. Crossing 10,000 feet. Landing lights come off. Seatbelt signs. Put those back in auto. We'll shut off our APU. We don't need it anymore. Now, what we will do is we will configure the glare shield, the autopilot panel. Left-hand turn, and then we will engage the autopilot. Like so. Go ahead and get it engaged. So, aircraft's going to do its thing. Should be pretty smooth sailing all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the recording right here, and I will catch you guys on the approach into Oshkosh, so make sure to stick around, because that's where the real fun begins. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're getting pretty close to Oshkosh right about now. So what we are doing is getting set up for the approach into runway 36. However, we are not going to land. Actually, what we are going to do is we're going to do a flyover of the runway at about 1,000 feet. We're going to keep a relatively slow approach speed. We'll probably shoot for 150-ish knots as we cross the runway threshold. We'll do a little wing rock, and then we will go into a right-hand traffic pattern to get us lined up for the actual final approach here. Oshkosh is just ever so slightly to the right of us. We can see what the GPS wants us to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of the managed mode, and we are going to set up selected. So we're about 5,000 feet above the ground. Airport elevation is about 863 feet, so we're going to get everything prepared for arrival here. Go ahead and set some flaps. We can see the Pappies over there at Oshkosh. So essentially what we are going to do is we're going to hold 1,800 feet across the threshold. We're going to bake it with autopilot, do its thing up until we get to the threshold, and I'm going to disengage it, do a little wing rock, and then get back into a holding pattern for the right-hand traffic, and then we will land. We'll hold about 1,200 feet per minute if it gives it to me. 1,200 feet per minute. We're going to get a 2,500 foot warning here momentarily. We are flaps 1. Probably maintain flaps 3 as we cross.
2,500.
There's our warning. We are going to set for a light approach on the way in. So we want flaps 2, so let's go ahead and add that. We're going to overspeed it ever so slightly, but we are at idle. We will get through that threshold here in a second. Just like that. About 170 as we cross in. So normally we would be geared down preparing for landing, but like I said, we will be overflying the runway. We have our landing lights on. We are flaps 2. We will hold flaps 2 as we cross. Absolutely stunning sunset over there. And then, as I said, we will go right hand over the water, and then we will land. And I'm not going to backpedal way back like I am right here. We're actually going to do it kind of close. I'm going to push the limits of this aircraft here. Let's go 160 knots on our speed.
1,000.
There's 1,000 feet above the ground is what we're going to try to hold as best as we can here. Get our autopilot disconnect button right down here in the corner. You can see the Pappies are not too happy with us as we're too high, but we're not paying attention to that as of right now. We will when we land. Okay. I'm going to take control of the aircraft. We're going to pitch down. We're probably going to go 500 feet above the runway here. So normally when you approach Oshkosh, there'd be plane's all in the grass over there.
500.
Too low. Gear.
So now it's going to yell at us
Too low. Gear.
because of how low we are.
Too low. Gear. Too low. Gear.
Now
Too low. Gear.
we're over the runway.
Too low. Gear. Too low. Gear. Too low. Gear. Too low. Gear.
All right, now we are going to accelerate to 180
Too
knots.
low. Gear.
We're going to pitch up for the final approach. So let's go ahead and get set up. We're going to be at 2,500. Low base altitude here. We are parallel with the numbers on the right hand side, which we are about to be. We're going to go gear down and flaps full because this is a short runway. The flight director does want us to go off into the mist approach, which we will not be doing, so I'm actually going to go ahead and turn off our flight director. Let's go gear down. Wants us to target 145 knots right now. So we'll go ahead and slow to that point. Very light winds up about 1,500 feet off the ground. We're going to go flaps 3. Let's begin making that right-hand turn. Let's go ahead and arm our spoilers. You're looking good there. Slow it to 130. Full flaps.
1,000.
1,000 feet off the deck. Taking control of the throttles now. We have caution full. The throttle throttles being disengaged because I used the button and not the joystick.
500. 400.
The wind is picked up just a hair, ever so
300.
slight tailwind, but we should be okay.
Speed. 200. 100.
I'm trying to come in just a hair low because of how short this runway is.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Spoilers come out for reverse. There's the dots. If you've flown in Oshkosh before, you'll know exactly what the dots signify. Beautiful landing. So, what they did is they actually turned to the right and they just parked on the taxiway. So I'm going to get the APU started. See, we still have our flaps and spoilers. We're going to go ahead and retract those. Here. Just a little bit more. Pretty much go right to the point here where these engines are pretty much on a safe spot right here in the tarmac, which is good right about here. It'll come to a stop. Thank you very much. I'll back them up a little bit. This aircraft should be able to do a power back. Sometimes it can, sometimes it can't, but that's okay if it can. Set the parking brake, turn the lights off. APU is, in fact, on, so we can go ahead and shut her down. Disengage one of our pumps here. Like so. So normally, if this was an actual Oshkosh approach during the air show, there would be people all up and down the grass. There'd be planes up and down the grass. There'd be aircraft everywhere. Everywhere you looked, there'd be aircraft. But unfortunately, we cannot simulate that right now. But this was a fun little flight. Got to do a nice little unrestricted climb. Have a little fun with the aircraft, as well as do a nice little flyby of the airport and then finally landing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed a video like this. These are fun to do. I do like kind of throwing the rule book out the window a little bit and just, you know, enjoying the sim as it is a video game. So make sure to leave a like, comment down below what you would like to see next. I have a couple more reviews that I'm still working on. I'm still getting some flights in on some aircraft so I can make sure that the reviews are very fair. We just got the Airbus A350 just dropped not too long ago, so I'm kind of waiting for that one to have a few tweaks and changes before I get my hands on it. So make sure you are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when the next video does go live. So ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.